Okay, so because we're diving into the Shrieking Shack.
Oh, yeah, the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah, it's a super creepy place in Hogsmeade.
Right.
And it's supposedly haunted, too.
Mm.
But, it's way more than just a ghost story in The Prisoner of Azkaban.
No, definitely.
Our sources are saying it's like this huge turning point in the whole Harry Potter series.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, think about it. You've got a hippogriff that's just been condemned,
right.
like sentenced to death.
Totally.
And then you've got Sirius Black, who everyone thinks is a murderer on the loose.
Yeah.
And Harry, Ron, and Hermione are stuck right in the middle of it all. Talk about intense.
It is intense, and the way Rowling sets it all up is just brilliant.
Oh, for sure.
Like, she takes us on this wild ride right from the beginning. Remember we just saw Buckbeak get sentenced?
Right. Yeah, that whole thing was awful.
It was really heavy, and then boom, this massive black dog just appears out of nowhere and attacks.
Oh, man, that scene was crazy.
It goes from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat.
You're telling me, and it's not just some random attack either.
No, it's not.
This dog goes straight for Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yeah, it's like it's targeting them specifically.
And Ron ends up with a broken leg.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
That detail, the broken leg, it just feels super important.
It is important. It's not just about the immediate danger either.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Ron's injury, it has lasting consequences.
Right.
He's forced to face his fear of the creature that bit him again and again throughout the series.
That's true.
And guess what that creature turns out to be?
Who?
Peter Pettigrew, the man who betrayed Harry's parents.
Wow, you're totally right. That broken leg, it's like foreshadowing the deeper emotional wounds that Pettigrew inflicts.
Exactly.
That Ron has to deal with for years to come.
It's heavy stuff.
Okay, so they're running from this mysterious dog, right?
Uh-huh.
And they end up at the Whomping Willow.
Of all places.
I know, right? Most people would stay far away from that tree.
Yeah, for sure.
But not our favorite trio.
They're kind of forced into it, aren't they?
Well, yeah, that's true. But there's this little detail that becomes really significant.
Oh, what's that?
Remember Crookshanks?
Hermione's cat.
Yeah, he suddenly knows how to calm the willow down.
Oh, yeah. That's weird.
It's not a coincidence.
No, definitely not.
It makes you wonder, why would a cat know how to do that?
Right, like how does that even work?
It's almost like Crookshanks knows something's up, or at least senses it.
Yeah, I get that feeling too.
And, as a reader, you're probably thinking, come on, Hermione, why aren't you more suspicious?
Exactly, like, doesn't she think that's a little strange?
But at this point, Hermione's just as clueless as Harry and Ron.
That's true, she doesn't have all the information yet.
She's focused on the immediate danger,
Yeah, getting away from that creepy dog.
not the subtle clues that are right in front of her.
But we as readers, we have the advantage of hindsight.
We know what's coming.
So they finally get inside the Shrieking Shack.
Right. And they're expecting to find who knows what.
Yeah, who knows what's lurking in there.
And there he is, Sirius Black.
Alive.
Injured, but alive.
It was like something out of a horror movie.
Totally. You've got the creepy abandoned building, the injured friend, and then the supposed villain just waiting there.
It's the perfect setup for some serious suspense.
And that's where the tension really starts to build.
Yeah, because we know something the characters don't.
We know that Sirius Black isn't the monster they think he is.
It's dramatic irony at its finest.
We're on the edge of our seats just waiting for the truth to come out.
But first we have to get through this crazy confrontation between Sirius, Ron, and Harry.
And it gets pretty heated, too.
Yeah, things escalate quickly.
Ron, even though he's injured, he stands up to Black.
That's Ron for you, always brave.
He accuses Black of wanting to kill Harry.
Wow.
And then Harry, fueled by years of grief and anger, he actually tries to attack Sirius.
Oh man, that's heartbreaking.
It is, but it also shows how deeply the loss of his parents has affected him.
He's desperate for answers for someone to blame.
And just when you think things can't get any more intense, Professor Lupin bursts in.
Talk about an entrance.
It's like he came straight out of an action movie.
Lupin disarms everyone.
Yeah. But instead of arresting Black,
He hugs them.
like a brother,
What's going on here?
right, it's like, is Lupin another bad guy?
That moment makes you question everything you thought you knew.
It's a total twist.
But if you think back to earlier in the book,
Okay.
there were all these weird things about Lupin.
Like what?
His strange illnesses, his connection to the full moon.
Yeah, and Hermione even defends him.
Oh, right. She says he wouldn't hurt a fly.
So are you saying Hermione knew all along?
Well, let's just say Hermione's very observant.
She's definitely the smartest witch in her year.
And she's not afraid to put the pieces together.
So what's the truth about Lupin?
He confirms what we and maybe Hermione already suspected.
Which is
He's a werewolf.
a werewolf.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so that explains his illnesses.
Right, his transformations.
And his connection to the Shrieking Shack.
That was Dumbledore's way of keeping him safe.
And everyone else safe, too.
Exactly during his transformations.
But what about the Marauders map?
Oh yeah, that mischievous little thing.
How did Lupin always know where everyone was?
Well, it turns out he helped create that map back in his Hogwarts days.
Wait, seriously?
Yep, along with James Potter, Sirius Black, and guess who else?
No way.
Peter Pettigrew.
That's crazy.
And that brings us to the biggest reveal of all.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Lupin takes one look at Ron's pet rat Scabbers, and he declares that it's not a rat at all.
What?
It's a wizard in disguise.
No way.
An animagus named Peter Pettigrew.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
An Anabix?
You know, like Professor McGonagall?
You mean she can turn into a cat?
Exactly.
Wow, I never knew that.
But while McGonagall is a registered animagus,
Right?
Pettigrew is using his ability to hide to escape punishment for his crimes.
That's so sneaky.
And the most shocking part,
Tell me.
he's the one who betrayed Harry's parents, not Sirius.
So everything we thought we knew was wrong.
Pretty much.
Sirius is innocent, and this harmless little rat has been the real villain all along.
The mastermind.
This is insane.
It definitely changes your whole perspective on the story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But this is only the beginning of the story.
There's so much more to uncover.
What happens next? Stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into the Shrieking Shack and uncover even more secrets.
We'll be right back.
So this whole animagus thing,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild.
It is.
You mentioned that Pettigrew, Sirius, and James Potter were all animagi back in their Hogwarts days.
Right.
That's got to be a rare skill, right?
It is super rare.
Like, how do you even become an animagi?
Well, it takes a lot of work.
What,
You need serious concentration,
Okay.
magical ability,
Okay.
and a ton of patience.
So not for the faint of heart.
No, not at all.
What kind of things do you have to do?
Well, for starters, you have to carry a mandrake leaf in your mouth for a whole month.
A mandrake leaf?
Yeah.
You mean those screaming plants from herbology?
Those are the ones.
Seriously?
Yep.
That sounds awful.
It's not exactly a walk in the park.
And dangerous, too, I bet.
Oh, definitely very dangerous.
So it's a long and difficult process.
It is, which is why so few wizards even try it.
But for the Marauders, this ability, it became a way to help Lupin during his transformations.
Yeah, they could stay with him during the full moon as animagi,
Makes sense.
keeping him safe and preventing him from hurting anyone.
I guess if you have a friend who turns into a werewolf once a month,
Right.
you'd want to find a way to help.
Exactly.
So Sirius was a dog and Pettigrew was a rat.
Mm-hmm.
What about James Potter? What animal did he turn into?
James became a stag.
A stag.
Yep, majestic and powerful.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's like their animagus forms reflect their personality.
I see what you mean.
Sirius, the brave and loyal friend, he's a big protective dog.
Right.
James, the charismatic leader, he's a noble stag.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got Pettigrew, the cowardly traitor, hiding as a tiny, insignificant rat.
It's almost symbolic.
I think so too.
Like, their animal forms are outward expressions of their inner selves.
That's a good way to put it.
Speaking of symbolism, this whole thing with Lupin being a werewolf,
Yeah.
it's got to be more than just a plot device, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like, what do you think it represents?
Well, it touches on some really important themes,
Like what?
like prejudice and acceptance.
What?
In the wizarding world, werewolves are feared and ostracized.
That's true.
They're seen as dangerous and unpredictable.
And for Lupin, this fear has led to a life of isolation and secrecy.
It's really sad when you think about it.
He's a talented wizard, a kind and caring person,
Yeah.
but he's constantly judged and discriminated against because of something he can't control.
It's not fair.
And yet, despite this prejudice, Dumbledore hires him to teach at Hogwarts.
That says a lot about Dumbledore.
It does.
He sees past the stigma and recognizes Lupin's value as a teacher and as a person.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
It's about looking past appearances and judging people based on their character.
Right, not their circumstances.
Like, Dumbledore is saying, yes, Lupin is different, but that doesn't make him dangerous or unworthy.
Exactly. It's a message that resonates far beyond the wizarding world.
It applies to all of us.
We all face situations where we're tempted to judge others based on superficial qualities.
But like Dumbledore, we should try to see the individual.
The heart beneath the exterior.
That's such an important reminder.
It is.
Okay, so back to the drama in the Shrieking Shack.
All right.
We now know that Sirius was actually the Potter's secret keeper, not the traitor,
Right. It was Pettigrew who sold them out to Voldemort.
and then framed Sirius for the crime.
Yeah, a classic cowardly move.
But how did Pettigrew pull this off?
I mean, faking your own death and hiding as a rat for 12 years, it's pretty impressive.
That takes some serious planning.
It does.
Well, it's a cowardly move for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But you gotta admit, it's effective.
It is.
No one would suspect a harmless pet rat of being a dangerous criminal.
Right. Who would ever think to look twice at a rat?
And Pettigrew wasn't exactly known for his brains or bravery.
He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed.
He was more of a follower.
Yeah, someone who latched onto stronger personalities like James and Sirius.
So he basically used people's assumptions about him to his advantage,
They underestimated him.
which allowed him to manipulate the whole situation.
He played everyone.
But how did Lupin figure it all out?
He had his suspicions, of course.
Like what?
Well, he knew Sirius.
Yeah.
And he knew Sirius wouldn't betray James.
Mm-hmm.
But the key to the whole thing was the Marauder's map.
Oh, right.
Lupin being one of its creators.
Yeah.
He knew how to use it to track everyone's movements within Hogwarts.
It's like a magical GPS.
Exactly. It shows you exactly where everyone is and what they're doing.
So Lupin saw Sirius approaching the trio,
Mm-hmm.
and then he saw them all disappear into the Whomping Willow,
Right.
and he knew something was wrong,
So he followed them.
hoping to stop whatever was about to happen.
He had a bad feeling.
So the map led him to the Shrieking Shack,
Where he saw Scabbers.
and that's when it clicked.
This ordinary rat was actually the missing piece of the puzzle.
But how did he know for sure?
He recognized the signs of an Animaxis transformation.
What kind of signs?
Well, he'd seen Pettigrew transform tons of times back in school.
Oh, right.
He knew what to look for.
Like what?
The slight shift in form,
Okay.
the glint of intelligence in the creature's eyes.
It's like a detective noticing a tiny clue.
Yeah, and then the whole case breaks wide open.
Lupin the werewolf detective,
That's a good one.
using the Marauder's map and his knowledge of animagi to uncover the truth.
Brilliant.
And the biggest clue was right there in front of everyone.
Literally under their noses.
This revelation, it changes everything.
It does.
The villain we thought we knew is actually a victim.
And the harmless pet is the mastermind.
It's a crazy twist.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about the story.
What does this mean for Harry, though?
That's a good question.
He just found out that the man he thought killed his parents is innocent.
And the real traitor, the man who betrayed his parents, is still alive.
That's huge.
It changes everything.
It's a total game changer.
And it sets the stage for the rest of the story.
But we'll get into that in just a moment. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the Shrieking Shack. It's crazy, right?
It really is.
This whole thing with Sirius and Pettigrew,
Yeah.
it really shows you how easy it is to be fooled by appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Like for years, everyone thought Sirius was the bad guy,
Right.
the one who betrayed the Potters.
Everyone thought he was a murderer.
But it turns out he was the victim,
The one who was betrayed.
wrongly accused and imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit.
It's awful. Really.
Years of his life just stolen from him.
She's gone.
And think about the impact on Harry.
Yeah.
He grew up believing that Sirius was the one who killed his parents.
And then he finds out that the real traitor was someone he thought was a friend.
Talk about a mind-blowing revelation.
It's a lot for a 13-year-old to process.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of processing things,
Yeah.
let's talk about Ron for a second.
Okay.
He's been carrying Pettigrew around as a pet for years,
Right.
totally clueless about the danger hiding in his pocket.
It's crazy to think about.
That's got to mess with you, right?
Oh, for sure. Imagine finding out that your beloved pet
Yeah.
was actually a dangerous criminal.
The one responsible for your best friend's parents' deaths.
That's heavy stuff.
It's a betrayal on so many levels.
And for Ron, who values loyalty above all else,
Yeah.
this realization must be devastating.
It makes you think about trust,
Yeah, like how do you know who to trust?
especially when someone you thought was harmless.
Turns out to be anything but.
It's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem.
And that sometimes the most unassuming character.
Can have the darkest secrets.
It's true.
This whole situation, it raises some big questions, like how we respond to betrayals.
or
Do we let anger and resentment consume it?
or do we find a way to forgive and move on?
Those are tough questions.
Yeah, they are, and the characters have to wrestle with them.
And us as readers, too.
We're right there with them.
It's a testament to Rowling's writing
Oh, absolutely.
that these themes resonate so deeply with readers of all ages.
She doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
No, she doesn't. She tackles betrayal, loss, the complexities of human nature,
It's all there.
and she does it in a way that's both engaging and thought-provoking.
She's a master storyteller.
And let's not forget the suspense.
Oh, yeah.
This whole chapter is a masterclass in building tension.
I agree.
It starts with this feeling of unease.
Like you know something bad's gonna happen.
Then you have the chase the Whomping Willow, the confrontation in the Shrieking Shack,
Every scene just ratchets up the tension.
leading to that huge reveal about Pettigrew.
It's a wild ride.
A total roller coaster of emotions.
You're scared, confused, angry, relieved, and then shocked all over again.
And even when the truth comes out,
Yeah.
you're left with more questions than answers.
So true.
Like, what's going to happen to Sirius?
Will he be cleared of all charges?
What about Pettigrew? Will he get away with it?
Those are the questions that drive the rest of the story.
But the events in the Shrieking Shack, they've changed everything.
Yeah, the game has changed.
Harry's not just trying to survive Hogwarts anymore.
It's bigger than that now.
He has a purpose, a mission,
To bring the real traitor to justice.
and to protect the people he cares about.
It's a turning point in his journey.
He's not just the boy who lived anymore,
He's becoming the man who fights for what's right.
even when it's dangerous.
That's something we can all relate to.
That desire to make a difference.
To stand up for what we believe in.
This deep dive has been quite a journey.
It has.
We've explored betrayal, redemption, prejudice, the power of truth,
We've seen shocking revelations.
and felt that nail-biting suspense.
But most importantly,
We've seen how, even in the darkest of times,
there's always hope.
always a chance for things to get better.
So as you continue reading,
Remember to look beyond the surface
question your assumptions.
and never underestimate the power of a small detail.
Sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest truths.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Shrieking Shack.
It's been a pleasure.